She blushed, admitting, "You're my first," and the cowboy promised she'd forever be his only. Silver Gulch, 1878. The moon, a cold, indifferent eye, hung low over the town, its pale light casting long, skeletal shadows across the dusty streets. Every respectable soul was long since behind a locked door, leaving the world to the ghosts and the outlaws. I was one of the ghosts, my back pressed hard against the rough-hewn wall of the general store, my heart hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs, a drum I was sure the whole town could hear. In my trembling hands, I clutched a worn leather satchel, a small, sad collection of everything I had left in this world. My mother's silver locket, a faded photograph of my parents, and a handful of dollars I had squirreled away from a lifetime of scrimping. Through the thin wall of the saloon next door, the sound of Jeremiah Abernathy's booming laughter was a poison in the night air. It made my stomach churn, a bitter acid of fear and revulsion. Tomorrow, he would come calling, a predator with a contract, the one my stepfather had scrawled his name on to settle his endless drinking debts. At 20 years old, I had already seen enough of Abernathy's cruelty to know what awaited me in his grand, gaudy mansion on the hill. It was a life of hidden bruises beneath expensive silks, a slow, suffocating death of the spirit that no amount of gold could ever cure. I was a lamb walking to the slaughter, and I knew it. The only way out was to run. I waited, my breath held tight in my chest, until a thick cloud, a dark blessing, passed over the moon, plunging the street into a deep and absolute blackness. This was my moment. This was my one chance. But as I took my first trembling step, the sound of a horse's hoof on the cobblestone broke the silence of the night. It wasn't the slow, drunken swagger of a cowboy returning home. It was a rhythmic, purposeful clatter, the sound of someone who knew exactly where they were going and why. My stomach dropped. I froze, my eyes wide, my heart now a frantic, terrified bird trapped in my chest. A dark, lone rider emerged from the shadows, their silhouette stark against the fading moonlight. I had a choice to make, and I had to make it in the next second. I could risk it, run as fast as my legs would carry me, or I could hide, praying that whoever it was would pass me by. With a silent gasp, I pressed myself back against the wall, melting deeper into the shadows. My one chance for freedom was slipping away, and I was about to find out if I was running from Abernathy or running straight into the arms of something even worse. If you enjoy the story, hit that subscribe button right away, and if you don't, then just hit the like button anyway to keep more Wild West love stories coming. There's a peculiar ache that comes with being a ghost in your own life, a hollow, echoing loneliness that tells you your heart is already a tomb. That was my reality, the cold, hard truth that settled over my soul like a shroud. I was a phantom, walking a path laid out by others, with no direction of my own. My days were a monotonous tapestry of what I was supposed to be, not who I was. And my nights were spent wrestling with the suffocating weight of a future I didn't choose, a future that promised nothing but chains of a different kind. I clung to a wisp of a memory of a time when laughter was not a forgotten luxury, when joy wasn't a foreign word. That memory was a faint star in a dark, empty sky, a cruel, beautiful lie I told myself just to keep from falling apart. But even a ghost has its breaking point. Tonight, that point was a man's laughter echoing from a saloon, a sound that promised a lifetime of misery. So, I ran. I chose the unknown over the unbearable. I led my father's old, weary mare, Buttercup, out through the back, wincing at every hoofbeat on the packed earth, every creak of the wagon's wheels sounding like a cannon shot in the silent night. The edge of town loomed ahead, and beyond it, nothing but miles of sagebrush and uncertainty. People spoke in hushed whispers of what happened to women alone in the wilderness, Indians, outlaws, wild animals, thirst, and a sun that could drive you mad. But those were just possibilities, things that might happen. Jeremiah Abernathy was a certainty. He was a promise of a life that would drain every drop of my spirit until there was nothing left but a shell. So I chose the wilderness. I chose the rattlesnakes and the wolves. At least they would kill me quick, not slowly and painfully over a lifetime of submission. The first few miles passed in a blur of sheer terror. I kept looking back, half expecting to see torches and hear the thunder of pursuit. But Silver Gulch slept on, unaware that one of its daughters had chosen to become a ghost of a different kind, a free ghost, if only for a little while. By the time the eastern sky began to pale, I'd put a good distance between myself and my prison. The horse's sides heaved with effort, and the wagon groaned under the strain. We needed to rest. I found a cluster of gnarled cottonwoods near a dried creek bed and stopped. My hands fumbled with the canteen. I had managed to fill 2 at the well, but already I wondered if it would be enough. The vastness of the landscape struck me then, an endless sea of scrub and rock beneath a sky so wide it made me dizzy. I'd traded walls for emptiness, and for a moment, the magnitude of my decision threatened to overwhelm me. No going back now, I whispered to the mare, who stood with her head low, exhausted. I loosened the saddle and let the horse graze on what sparse grass grew in the shade. I, myself, sat against a tree trunk, fighting the urge to cry. Tears were a luxury I couldn't afford. Not out here where every drop of water might mean the difference between life and death. The sun climbed higher, and with it came the merciless heat. I dozed fitfully through the afternoon, starting at every sound, the scuttle of a lizard, the cry of a hawk overhead. When evening finally brought some relief from the heat, I saddled the horse again and continued west, always west, toward the setting sun and whatever unknown fate awaited me there. 3 days passed in this harrowing pattern, riding by night, hiding by day. My water ran low, then out completely. My lips cracked and bled. The mare stumbled more frequently. The old horse couldn't last much longer without water. On the 4th morning, as I searched desperately for any sign of a spring or stream, I spotted something that made my heart nearly stop. A lone rider on the ridge above, sitting his horse with the easy confidence of a man born to the saddle. The sunrise painted him in silhouette, broad shoulders, wide-brimmed hat, the glint of spurs. I instinctively reached for the old pistol my father had kept in his drawer, though I'd never fired it and doubted I could hit anything if I tried. The rider had seen me too. He sat motionless for a long moment, and I felt his gaze like a physical weight. Then, slowly, he began to descend the ridge, not rushing, not threatening, but inevitable as the sunrise itself. My mouth went even drier, if such a thing were possible. I'd heard enough stories to know that meeting a strange man out here, miles from anywhere, rarely ended well for a woman alone, but I was too tired to run, and the mare was beyond running anyway. So I stood my ground, one hand on the pistol butt, trying to look braver than I felt. The rider came closer, details forming through the haze. Dark hair in need of cutting, a face worn by sun and wind, clothes patched but clean. A Winchester rested across his saddle, and a pair of Colts hung low on his hips. He stopped 20 feet away, touched the brim of his hat, in a gesture I couldn't read mockery or respect. "Ma'am," he said, his voice rough as the desert, "looks like you're in some trouble." I lifted my chin, the movement stinging my cracked lips. "I'm managing fine, thank you." He smiled faintly. "That so? Your wagon and horse say different." His gray eyes swept over the exhausted mare and broken wagon. "When's the last time either of you had water?" Pride faltered. 2 days, I admitted. The rider swung from the saddle with easy grace, unhooked a canteen, and stopped just out of reach. A scar cut across his left eyebrow, and he smelled of leather and dust. "Name's Jedediah Stone. You can put that pistol away. If I meant harm, you'd know it already." I hesitated, then took the canteen. The first sip was heaven, though I forced myself to drink slowly under his watchful gaze. I thanked him, then gave water to my mare. "I'm Mary Smith." "Sure you are," Jed said dryly. "Out here for your health." I flushed. I couldn't tell him I was a runaway, with Abernathy's men perhaps on my trail. "My business is my own, Mr. Stone." "That it is," he said. "But this desert kills just the same, no matter what you're running from." He studied me, as though reading every secret. "There's a spring 5 miles northwest. I'm headed that way. You can follow." "I can find it myself," I said stubbornly. He shrugged. Head for that notch in the hills. Bear left at the split rock shaped like a pulpit. Cottonwoods mark the spring. Can't miss it. He mounted again. Course, rattlers nest by that rock, and coyotes watch the spring, but I'm sure a woman doing fine alone won't have trouble. He turned his horse. Pride held me for a heartbeat, but fear broke it. Mr. Stone, he paused. I would be grateful for the guidance. His smile was less mocking this time. Smart choice. Let's get that horse some water. I followed, uneasy. I had escaped one cage only to walk into another. But something in Jedediah Stone's shadowed eyes felt familiar, another soul marked by the past. The sun climbed higher. Behind us my old life faded. Ahead lay only survival. The spring nestled in a bowl of red rock, shaded by cottonwoods. Jed dismounted, scanning the area before gesturing me forward. Let the horses drink first. Not too much. I tried to steady my desperate mare, but my arms trembled. Without a word, Jed joined his hands to mine, guiding the reins. Close enough for me to see gold flecks in his gray eyes. Easy, he murmured. When the mare was satisfied, I filled canteens, savoring each sip. Jed watched me, unreadable. You haven't seen hard times before, he said. I've seen my share. Not like this. No place for a lady. Must be mighty bad what you're running from. I told you, Mr. Stone, my business is my own. He rolled a cigarette. Seems to me a woman calling herself Mary Smith and fumbling a thirsty horse might be in over her head. My cheeks burned. I suppose you think I should marry and settle down like a proper lady. His face darkened. Last woman I knew who did that ended up in the ground. He struck a match. Shadows cut across his features. No, ma'am, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Silence settled, broken by the rustle of wind and the horses. I studied him, puzzled by his contradictions, danger held in check. Yet he had shared his water, helped my horse. Where are you headed, Mr. Stone? I asked. Jed, he corrected. Nowhere in particular. Just away. Away from what? His smile was humorless. From men who'd like to see me hang. Present company accepted, I hope. My throat tightened. An outlaw. I should fear him, but somehow I didn't. Perhaps because I was an outlaw now, too. I should go, I said, though the thought of facing the desert alone sickened me. In this heat, your horse won't make another mile. Jed ground out his cigarette. We'll rest till evening. Then I'll see you as far as Culverson. 3 days' ride. Railroad runs through there. Train can take you anywhere. Then I can't pay you. Didn't ask. His eyes met mine. Just don't point that pistol at me again. Makes me nervous. Despite myself, I smiled faintly. It isn't loaded, I know. He tipped his hat low. Get some rest, Mary Smith. Long road ahead. Exhaustion dragged at me. I lay down where I could watch both Jed and the horizon, fingers curled around the empty pistol. Sleep claimed me fast, the desert wind whispering through the cottonwoods. If you like Wild West love stories or Wild West stories, drop a bunch of 1 second and your place in the comments for the Wild West Love channel. Tell me where you're listening from so I don't feel so alone out here. There's something to be said for the silence of the desert, the kind that swallows a man whole. It's a silence that holds no judgment, only a vast, empty canvas. But for a heart as broken as mine, the silence was a cruel mirror, reflecting a past I couldn't escape. My past wasn't just my own. It was a shared wound, a testament to a life that had been stolen. Every breath I took was a silent plea for forgiveness, every step a painful reminder of what I had lost. I had built a life on the belief that a man could outrun his demons, but the West was a brutal teacher, and I had learned that some demons ride faster than any horse. They ride in the form of memories, of a price on your head, and of a world that refuses to let you forget. My name was a curse, a whisper on the wind. I was Jedediah Stone, the wolf of Willow Creek, and I had nowhere to run. I had chosen this life, a life of solitude and shadows, but in that lonely existence, I had forgotten what it was like to feel seen. Then she came, the little slip of a girl with eyes as gray as a storm and a foolish bravery that made my heart ache. She was running from a fate I knew all too well, a life of being owned, a spirit slowly suffocated. And for a moment, in that desolate expanse, I saw a reflection of myself, of a younger me who believed in a better life before the world had carved its scars into my soul. She was a burden, a complication, a dangerous distraction from the life I had so carefully constructed. But as I watched her, so tired and so fragile, I knew I couldn't leave her. I knew because in her eyes I saw not a reflection of my past, but a promise of a future I had long since given up on. A future where a man could be more than just a ghost, and a woman could be more than just a memory. So, I took her with me. I woke to the sound of voices, male voices, rough with trail dust and bad whiskey. My eyes flew open to find Jed already on his feet, positioned between me and 3 riders who'd appeared at the spring's edge. His hand rested casual-like on his gun belt, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. "Well, well, Jedediah Stone." The speaker was a thin man with a face like spoiled milk, pale and sour. "Heard you might be in these parts." Amos?" Jed's voice held all the warmth of a December morning. "Still riding with trash, I see." The other 2 men bristled, hands moving toward their weapons, but Amos raised a hand to still them. "That's no way to talk to old friends, Jed. We rode together once. That was before you started burning out homesteads with the families still inside, Amos," Jed said evenly. "Before you went to work for Jack Colton. Business is business." Amos's pale eyes slid past Jed to where I sat frozen. "And what's this? Jedediah Stone traveling with a woman. Will wonders never cease?" I forced myself to stand on unsteady legs. The way the 3 men looked at me made my skin crawl like beetles, skittering across my flesh. I understood with sudden, crystal clarity that Jedediah Stone might be dangerous. But these men were something worse. "The lady's with me," Jed said, and there was a warning in every word. "Is she now?" Amos grinned, showing teeth like old ivory. "Seems a shame keeping something that pretty all to yourself. Maybe we could come to an arrangement." "The only arrangement we're going to come to," Jed said softly, "is the one where you water your horses and move on. Peaceful like. 3-1, Jed. You always were good, but you ain't that good." "No," Jed agreed. "But I'm good enough to put a bullet in you before your boys clear leather. You want to die over water and a woman you never seen before?" The moment stretched tight as wire. I could hear my own heartbeat, could see the calculation in Amos's pale eyes. My hand found the butt of the unloaded Colt. A useless gesture, but the only one I had. Then Jed spoke again, so low I almost missed it. "Besides, you don't want to tangle with her. Woman's got the lung fever. Why you think I'm keeping my distance? Taking her to the sanitarium in Culverson?" "No." I caught on immediately, raising a shaking hand to my mouth and coughing a harsh, racking sound that echoed off the rocks. I swayed, letting Jed catch my elbow to steady me. "See?" Jed's smile was thin as paper. "You boys are welcome to her if you want to risk it. Course, I hear the fever makes a man drown in his own blood. Ugly way to go." Amos took an involuntary step back. Disease was the one enemy a man couldn't outdraw, couldn't intimidate. His companions were already turning their horses. "This ain't over, Stone," Amos said, but he was backing away too. "Colton's got a bounty on you, dead or alive." "Tell Colton I'll be seeing him," Jed replied. "Real soon." The 3 men watered their horses quickly and rode out, casting nervous glances back. Only when they disappeared over the ridge did Jed release my arm. I hadn't realized how hard he'd been gripping it until the blood rushed back. "Lung favor?" I asked weakly. First thing come to mind. He was already moving toward the horses. "We need to go now. They'll figure out the truth soon enough." I didn't argue. My hands shook as I saddled the horse, the encounter leaving me more rattled than 3 days alone in the desert. Jed worked beside me, efficient and calm, but I could see the urgency in his movements. "Those men," he began, "are the reason you don't trust strangers out here," he finished. "Mount up." Louis. We rode hard through the cooling evening, pushing the horses as much as we dared. Jed led us through a maze of arroyos and dry washes, doubling back twice, laying false trails. I clung to the mare's mane and tried not to think about what would have happened if I'd met Amos and his men instead of Jed. When full dark fell, he finally called a halt in a sheltered canyon. "No fire tonight," he said, and I didn't argue. We ate cold biscuits from his saddlebags and shared water in silence. The stars emerged one by one until the sky was ablaze with light. "Thank you," I said at last, "for what you did back there." Jed shrugged. "Didn't do it for thanks. Why did you do it then?" He was quiet so long I thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough as sandpaper. "Had a sister once. She'd have been about your age." He stood abruptly. "Get some sleep. I'll keep watch." I wanted to ask about the sister, about the woman buried by the creek, about the price on his head. But something in his posture warned me off. He stood at the canyon's entrance like a guardian statue, and I realized with a jolt that I trusted him, this outlaw, this stranger, this man with shadows in his eyes. I trusted him more than I'd ever trusted Jeremiah or my stepfather or any of the respectable men in Silver Gulch. I wrapped myself in the thin blanket he'd given me and tried to find a comfortable position on the hard ground. Above, the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns, indifferent to the small human dramas playing out below. Somewhere in the darkness, a coyote called, and its packmates answered, their voices rising in a wild chorus that made me shiver. "Jed?" I called softly. "Yeah. My name isn't Mary Smith. It's Sarah. Sarah Jane Miller." I heard him shift in the darkness. "Get some sleep, Sarah Jane. Still got a long way to go. Hey there, friend, take a moment and get yourself a full glass of water. It's easy to forget, but staying hydrated is crucial for your health. Also, if you've been sitting for a while, do a quick lap around the room and give your eyes a break from the screen. Your body will thank you." In the vast, aching expanse of the Wild West, a man's worth isn't measured by the weight of his pockets, but by the weight of his word. And for a man who had nothing but his word and his name, the two had become one and the same. My name was a curse, a scar on my soul, but it was all I had left. I had lost everything that mattered. I had lost Annie, my light in the darkness, and I had lost the only home I had ever known. Jack Colton had taken it all, and in his greed, he had turned me into a ghost. I was a man with a price on his head, a phantom haunting the desert, and I had made peace with that. I had convinced myself that I was better off alone, that my solitude was a shield, protecting what little was left of me. But then a little ghost with a horse and a wagon stumbled into my life, and for the first time in years, the silence of the desert was broken. She didn't see the outlaw or the wolf. She saw Jed. She saw the man I was before the world took everything from me. And in her terrified but defiant eyes, I saw something I thought I had lost forever: hope. She was a complication, a danger, a reminder of a life I could never have. But I couldn't abandon her. I couldn't stand by and watch her become another victim, another ghost haunting the plains. So I made a promise to a ghost, and I made a choice to a girl, a choice that could get us both killed. But at least we wouldn't be alone when we died. The morning came pale and cold, the desert air sharp enough to cut. I woke to find Jed already up, studying the horizon with the intensity of a man reading scripture. He'd kept watch all night, I realized, and guilt twisted in my stomach. "You should have woken me," I said, pulling the blanket tighter. "You ever kept watch before, Sarah Jane?" "No." "Then you'd have been no use. Watching's more than staying awake. You've got to know what belongs and what doesn't. Hear the difference between a rabbit and a man pretending to be one." He glanced at me. "I'll teach you later. Not while Amos might be doubling back." The casual offer surprised me. "You'd do that?" "I said I'd get you to Culverson. Can't do that if you get yourself killed. And a woman traveling alone ought to know these things." As we packed, I gathered my courage. "Last night, you said Colton has a bounty on you." Jed's hand stilled on his saddle. "That he does. End of lash." "What did you do?" "Killed his brother." His voice was flat. The man needed killing, but Colton didn't see it that way. I waited, sensing there was more. Jack Colton liked hurting women, saloon girls mostly, but any who caught his eye. Had money and men behind him, so nobody stopped him. His jaw tightened, until he picked the wrong girl, my wife, Annie. The words hit me like cold water. Of course, the woman buried by the creek, the shadows in his eyes. "I'm sorry," I whispered. Jed swung into the saddle. "That was 5 years ago. Annie's been in the ground longer than we were married, but Jack Colton's been there longer still, and that's what matters." We rode in silence, following game trails and dry washes. Jed taught me as we went how to read tracks, how to find water by the flight of birds, how to tell direction by the Sunday. I drank it in like parched earth. At midday, we rested the horses. Jed showed me how to load the old Colt properly. 6 chambers, but load 5. Keep the hammer on the empty chamber. Safer. Have you killed many men? I asked before I could stop myself. Enough to know it doesn't fix much. He corrected my grip, his calloused fingers steadying mine. Hold it firm, not strangled. Shooting's easy. Deciding when to shoot, that's the hard part. I studied the heavy weapon. Would you teach me? If we had time and bullets. But most times, waving a gun just makes things worse. Better to avoid trouble, like with Amos. That wasn't avoiding trouble, that was delaying it. His expression darkened. Men like Amos don't forget. He'll be back. Then why help me? Why take on my trouble too? Jed stepped back, considering. Maybe because I remember what it's like to have nowhere to run. Maybe I'm just tired of seeing men like him take whatever they want. Or maybe I'm a fool who can't mind his own business. That evening we camped beside a thin stream under cottonwoods. Jed showed me how to build a small fire that gave heat without much smoke, how to arrange rocks to reflect warmth. He produced a rabbit snared, not shot, and taught me to skin and cook it. Bullets are for men and predators, he said. Small game you trap. We ate in silence. I found myself studying him in the firelight, gentle teacher one moment, cold killer the next. You're not what I expected, I admitted. When I first saw you, I thought that I'd be like Amos. His smile was bitter. Not all wolves run in packs. Some of us keep to ourselves. Is that what you are? A wolf? That's what Colton calls me. The Wolf of Willow Creek. That was my town once. Had a ranch, chickens, vegetables. Annie and I were building something good. I heard the weight of lost dreams in his voice. You could start over. With a bounty on my head? Colton's reach stretches from here to California. I'd never stop looking over my shoulder. That's no life for a man. Sure as hell no life for a woman. The unspoken words hung between us. Whatever spark had kindled here had no future. I felt an unexpected pang at the thought. What about you? Jed asked. What's waiting in Culverson? I don't know. I have a few dollars and no plan beyond getting away from. I faltered, unable to say Jeremiah's name. From a bad marriage. From one that would have killed me, one way or another. Oh, my words spilled out in the darkness. My stepfather sold me to pay his debts, like I was cattle. Jed's face hardened. Some men never learn women aren't property. Jeremiah Abernathy's one of them. I saw what he did to his wives, I whispered. I couldn't. I wouldn't become that. So I ran. Not a fool's choice, Jed said firmly. Takes courage to choose the unknown over the unbearable. Most just endure. Like you did? His jaw tightened. I endured plenty before Colton went too far. Watched him hurt women. Told myself it wasn't my business. Annie paid for my cowardice. That wasn't your fault, I said softly. Wasn't it? He shook his head. Get some rest. We've ground to cover tomorrow. I wanted to press him but saw the walls rising. Instead, I asked, will you teach me to keep watch? He hesitated, then nodded. 2 hours. I'll wake you. I lay down, unable to sleep, watching him sit at the edge of the firelight, rifle across his knees, scanning the darkness with steady patience. Every so often, his gaze drifted back to me, and I felt something shift inside. For the first time since fleeing Silver Gulch, I felt safe not because Jed would protect me, though I believed he would, but because he was teaching me to protect myself. When he woke me for my watch, his hand was gentle. Time to learn. Though I took his place while he guided me what sounds meant all was well, what silences meant danger, how to keep the fire from blinding me to movement in the dark. Trust your instincts, he said. If something feels wrong, it probably island better to wake me for nothing than miss the real thing. I gripped the rifle across my knees. Jed, thank you. I know I'm not your responsibility. In the dying firelight, he almost smiled. Maybe not, but Annie would have liked you. She'd have wanted me to help. He lay down with his hat tipped over his eyes. 2 hours. Don't try to be a hero. I sat my watch as the fire sank to embers. learning to tell the difference between normal night sounds and true danger. For the first time since leaving home, I felt I might survive not just the desert, but whatever came after. Jed had given me more than protection. He'd given me skills, confidence, the tools to build a new life. When my watch ended, I woke him, proud I'd managed on my own. He squeezed my shoulder in quiet approval. Tomorrow would bring new dangers, and Amos was still out there. But tonight, in this fragile circle of safety, I began to believe I could become someone stronger than the frightened girl who had fled Silver Gulch. If you're watching on TV, don't hesitate, grab your phone and hit subscribe to my channel so you'll never miss out on our amazing characters. There's a quiet strength in the Wild West, a stoic beauty that the movies rarely show. It's the strength of a woman who learns to shoot, not for sport, but for survival. It's the beauty of a man who, despite a past of violence, finds the gentle grace to teach. In this cruel, beautiful land, love isn't a grand declaration. It's a shared canteen of water. It's a lesson in survival. It's a hand offered in the darkness, and a promise made under the indifferent gaze of a billion stars. It's about two people, broken by the world, finding a way to put the pieces back together, not just for themselves, but for each other. It's a testament to the fact that even in the bleakest of circumstances, even when the past haunts your every step, there is always room for a new chapter to be written. A chapter of hope, of healing, and of a kind of cowboy love story that the West will never forget. A story about finding your way home when you thought you were lost forever. The dust cloud appeared just after noon, too deliberate to be wind-driven. Jed spotted it first, his whole body going still in that way I had learned meant danger. Without a word, he guided us off the trail into a narrow ravine thick with greasewood. "How many?" I whispered, my hand moving to the Colt at my hip. 6, maybe 7. Jed's eyes never left the horizon, moving with purpose. "They know we're here." My stomach clenched. Amos, maybe? Or maybe someone noticed a missing horse in Silver Gulch. His expression was grave. "Either way, we can't outrun them. Not with your horse and wagon." My mare staggered, sweat streaking her sides. Jed's bay was stronger but burdened. Fighting wasn't an option. "There's a place," Jed said, turning his horse. "Old Apache hideout. If we can reach it." We rode hard through the ravine, stones clattering under hooves. Voices echoed closer. Jed pushed us up a treacherous slope, shale sliding beneath the horses. At the top, hidden behind red rock, was a narrow cave mouth. "Inside, quick," he ordered, dismounting. I followed, heart hammering. The cave opened into a chamber blackened by ancient fires. Jed positioned the horses, checked his weapons, and handed me his rifle. "Remember what I taught you?" I nodded, though my hands shook. "Jed, if it's Jeremiah's men, they're here for you. I could lead them off." "No." My voice cracked sharper than intended. "We stay together." Jed studied me, something shifting in his gray eyes. Stubborn woman. His lips quirked faintly. But then the voices outside grew louder. "Jedediah Stone!" The shout echoed off the rocks. "Not Amos, someone else. We know you're up there. Come out, and we'll make it quick." Jed moved near the cave mouth. "That you, Slim Pickens? Thought you were too old for bounty hunting." "A bounty this size buys a lot of retirement." "Nothing personal." "Always is personal when men come to kill you," Jed shot back. "How many of Colton's coins in your pocket?" Outside, boots scraped stone, guns readied. I counted at least 5 voices. Slim called again. "Come out peaceful, and we won't hurt the woman. Amos told us about her. Pretty little thing," he said. "Be a shame if something happened." Jed's jaw tightened. He glanced back, calculating. I shook my head fiercely. "Don't you dare give yourself up for me." "No. Might be the only way." "Then we find another way," I hissed. "You taught me to survive. Let me help." Slim's voice grew impatient. "Maybe we'll just smoke you out like rabbits." I remembered Jed's lesson. Misdirection. Raising my voice, I called, "Mr. Pickens, this is Mrs. Sarah Stone. My husband and I are headed to Culverson. We don't know anything about a bounty." Silence. Jed stared, eyebrows raised. I pressed on, voice trembling. "Please, I'm with child. We just need a doctor. Jed's a farmer from Nebraska. Outside, voices murmured. Jed leaned close. Mrs. Stone, farmer from Nebraska? You don't look it. Despite danger, his eyes glinted with admiration. Slim answered, skeptical. Nice try, lady, but we've tracked Jedediah Stone 2 days. We know who he island. Then you know I don't leave witnesses, Jed called, voice gone cold. Ask Jack Colton. Oh wait, you can't. You can't take all of us, Stone. Don't need to, just you, Slim. Rest will scatter once you're down. Course, 2 or 3 might catch bullets first. Want to pick which ones? Tension thickened outside. Men who rode for money weren't eager to die for it. Then came another sound, hoofbeats. More riders. Jed's expression hardened. A new voice rang out, making my blood run cold. Stand down, boys. The woman's mine. Jeremiah Abernethy. I nearly buckled. Somehow he'd tracked me all this way. This ain't your fight, Slim protested. We're here for Stone. And I'm here for my property. Jeremiah's voice grew closer. Girl stole my horse and wagon. Humiliated me. That's a hanging offense. I'm not your property, I shouted. I was never your property. Your stepfather's signature says different. Bought and paid for. Now come out before I lose my temper. Jed touched my arm. How many men? 3, maybe 4. Enough to make him feel brave. So 9 or 10 total. Jed's smile was sharp. I've had worse odds. Jed, no. There has to be another way. Their island. He pulled me deeper inside. Back of this cave, there's a passage out. Take the horse and go. I won't leave you. You will. His grip on my shoulders was firm. This is my fight. You made it mine when you helped me. I'll finish it, but not without you. His gray eyes bored into mine. Please, Sarah Jane. I can't watch another woman die because of my choices. I'm not Annie. My words rang harsh, but I didn't care. I'm not helpless. You taught me to fight, so let me fight. Outside, Slim and Jeremiah argued, tension ready to snap. Jed's voice softened. You asked why I helped you. Truth is, I saw something in you that first day. Strength, courage, a spirit meant to run free, not die in some cave. Then why ask me to run? Because living is winning. Every day you're free is a day Jeremiah doesn't own you. He pressed a leather pouch into my hand, heavy with coins. Enough to start fresh. California, maybe Oregon. Lie. Yell. Go. He touched my face once, tender. Go now while they're still arguing. I wanted to refuse, but his eyes held resolution. A man already at peace with his fate. I remembered his lessons. Sometimes the brave choice wasn't the obvious one. Promise me, I whispered. Promise you'll try to get out alive. I promise to do what needs doing. Not the answer I wanted, but all he'd give. I grabbed the saddlebags, then paused. Before I could stop myself, I kissed him quick, fierce, desperate. For a moment he froze, then kissed me back, rough hand tangled in my hair. When we pulled apart, his eyes held wonder and regret. Go, he said hoarsely, before I'm fool enough to ask you to stay. If you've made it this far, I know you're a true fan of WWL. From the bottom of my heart, I wish your day is filled with health and happiness, and may a little stroke of luck find you in the next 15 minutes. Don't forget to share it with me in the comments. I led the horse toward the back passage, tears blurring my vision. Behind me, Jed moved to the cave mouth, chambering his Colts. Slim, Jeremiah. His voice rang out hard and steady. Here's my offer. The woman rides out the back while we settle this face to face. Just me against your best gun. Winner takes all. You think we're stupid, Stone? Slim sounded wary. I think you're practical. You lose men in a cave fight. This way, most of you go home breathing. At the passage entrance, I looked back. Jed stood silhouetted against the light, every line of his body ready for violence. Our eyes met. He nodded once. Go. I pushed the horse through the narrow chute, its sides scraping stone. Emerging on the far ridge, I still heard shouting, but no gunfire yet. I should run. Jed had taught me that, survival above all. But another lesson rose stronger. Some things were worth more than survival. Running could be another kind of cage. I tied the horse, checked the Colt at my hip, and climbed back toward the voices. Jed had taught me to shoot, to track, to live, but also to choose my battles. And this one I chose. Gunfire erupted as I reached a rocky perch. Smoke and echoes filled the canyon. Below, a storm of lead and grit. I glimpsed Jed, a dark blur of motion.